Hello and welcome to this video. My name is Sarah, and on my channel you'll find things all spiritual awakening, business, etc. In this video we are celebrating my 4-year business anniversary, and I am going to be reflecting upon it, sharing how I built it. This is like the tell-all for Spiritual Alchemy, my business. So first of all, where did it all start? When did I start my business? What did I start with, etc.? I'm going to take you all back to 2019. My business technically started on November 30th, but in April of that year, I did start to do tarot readings for like my coworkers or on my personal Instagram for my friends. I don't really count that as the start of my business because I wasn't like creating a business or selling on an account specific for that. It was very, just friends essentially at that time. But in November 30th is when I launched my first ever online course. I had quit my job at the end of October because my health was not compatible to working inside of a building. I was working and serving in downtown Toronto at that time, and I physically couldn't. My physical body didn't operate properly. It was why I had quit my job a year ago before that, which I was working at for 5 years, pretty well my whole childhood, or like young adulthood. And I was just kind of like always having to leave to go to the hospital. I couldn't, work. I couldn't stand. I couldn't do it. I had the worst digestive issues. I was walking with a cane the year prior, so my legs were still iffy. I had to quit. And right before that, I ended up getting my Reiki 1 training. It ended up being my last day in the city in Toronto was my Reiki training. And I had quit, and my last day was maybe a week before that, or a little less. In November, I decided, I won't be able to work for somebody else. So why don't I, make an online course and sell it, see what happens. And I was really passionate about portals at that time. So 11/11, 12/12, 8/8, 7/7, you get the vibe. Because I had a really life-changing opportunity that really triggered and catalyzed my spiritual awakening in November of 2018 on 11/11, before I knew what a portal was. And so during the 11/11 portal in 2019, I decided to use that to create a course for 12/12. So I began with the 12/12 portal. I sat down, I wrote out my course. It was like a written course. It was really cute. I made it on Google Docs, and then I sold it on Teachable. And at that time, I sold that course for $12 because 12/12, and I got $6 profit for each sale. I remember so distinctly the first night that I launched it, having to choose on Teachable if I was going to buy like a plan to allow more than 10 students to enroll, or if I was just gonna, cap out at 10. That was, the same day or the day before. I think it was the day before I launched, and I had to make a big decision because I did not work at that time, was living in my father's basement, had like an $80 allowance for food or less, which is not enough for a week for food at all, and had $80-ish in my bank account at that time. And I think the Teachable plan translating into Canadian currency ended up being $45 or something like that. So I had to take a big risk. Do I want to allow myself to bring in more than 10 students, or just cap myself and save money? I ended up buying the plan and saying, you know what, this will allow more than 10 people to join, like that. And it definitely did. I think we had 24, something like that, students enrolled. I ended up making like $150 something, and mind you, each sale was $6, so that felt like a lot of people, and that felt like a high success. So I ended up making a solar eclipse course, a lunar eclipse course, and then I ended up doing 12 portal, and then I ended up doing 2/2 portal, 4/4 portal, etc. Now that gave me the motivation to continuously do it, to keep going. I ended up getting my Reiki level 2 certification in the February of the next year, and at that time I was still living with my family, and they ended up going away on a month-long vacation. This offered me the time and space to really meet myself, come back to myself, and work on my spirituality because they did not like spiritual stuff. I was always trapped in a basement as well when they were there, so it was not the best environment for my growth. Now, when they were gone, I was able to start selling oracle readings, and I was also doing distance Reiki sessions at pay what you want price while I was doing the training. That ended up being successful. I remember loving that I could, make $80 from an oracle reading. That felt so powerful and so beautiful, and I loved that. I didn't like doing Reiki though because it's too boring for me. I couldn't sit there and just spend the whole time channeling notes that I'm getting. I'm like, oh, I'm so psychic. I'm getting all these visions. Like, that's what my Reiki sessions really were. Then I continued to do portal courses, 444, 555, but in and around the 4/4 portal time, I was blessed with learning how to read the Akashic records. That changed my life. That was the thing, because as soon as I learned, I offered pay what you want because that worked well with doing Reiki. And that just blew up. And mind you, at the time, I wasn't necessarily like running a business. I was more like an influencer who sold little things every now and then. I was posting consistently, but I wasn't posting for marketing or sales. I had my Instagram account before I even sold that course for maybe 5-6 months, and I had built up a couple hundred followers just posting channeled content, YouTube videos, spiritual content, quotes, channel messages primarily, etc. So I already had maybe at that time 400 or 500 followers, give or take. And the Akashic records ended up selling out at pay what you want price, and then I had to set, a rate for them. I did a couple of readings at the rate that I charge, which is like somewhere between $88 and $111. That did not last me more than a month before I raised to $222, and then shortly after I settled on the price of $333 due to demand when I launched my Cosmic Akashic Records readings, which were the success of 2020 for me, which was what enabled me to go with my partner, leave the apartment that we were staying in. The behind the scenes of all this, by the way, kind of little trauma-ish warning, but on March 30th, right before the Akashic Records, and it was why I found the records at the time, my dad's partner actually got very sick with the virus at that time. And I didn't get sick because we were all in the same place at the same time where she contracted it. My dad was probably in fear, but maybe a little bit higher vibrational. That woman exists in a lot of fear because of conditioning. I was walking around the grocery store being like, violet flame, we can't get sick. Like, that was the day that I had a breakthrough after clearing my beliefs for 30 days that I physically couldn't get sick. So I did not get sick, but I did decide to pack up all of my stuff and leave my home, not knowing if I would ever come back or ever see my family again, because at that time we really didn't know much about the virus other than the fact that people were dying. So I had to go out and be like, how am I going to make money if my family dies? Because at that time, my father was providing for me financially, physically, stably. I had the other borderline motivation of how can I sustain my own self and my own life if my father were to pass away? Because obviously he ended up getting sick as well, being in the same environment as his girlfriend. So I had to figure out, okay, how am I going to make money if that happens? How am I going to create stability for myself if that happens? My partner also was not working at that time. So it was kind of like let's see. I never really outwardly went to figure out ways to make money, but the records were gifted to me at that time because it was a soul gift that needed to turn on to support my evolutionary growth. That felt really powerful to say. So I kept doing Akashic Records readings through the summer. I was living in Mount Shasta, California, and it was amazing at that time. My partnership was not necessarily falling apart, but it was becoming, okay, there's fights all the time, very toxic. Shasta, if you've ever been to Shasta, if you go with someone you're not meant to be in a relationship with, she'll make it end. And so there was parts of it that weren't great, but I was living my dream life. I was traveling, I was doing readings, I was selling my portal courses, I wasn't working in an office or in a job. I was just sitting by the lake on my favorite rock doing Akashic Records readings every few nights. And it felt so amazing to have this freedom. I kept doing that, selling portal courses and Akashic Records readings. And then when that partnership ended up falling apart and I walked away from the relationship in September of 2020, I ended up quitting my business temporarily because I couldn't manage. Well, it wasn't that I couldn't manage it. I could have just went all in and work. but I actually found a note in my phone and it said, I would rather deal with all of this heartbreak and grief now than many years down the line have to deal with it because I decided to just jump into work. And so I really took time off to heal, and I just couldn't maintain, reading the records every other day while I was moving through that type of trauma, because it was bringing it all up, and it's hard to, ascend to the records while you have this heavy weight bringing you down. It takes more energy and it brings everything to the surface. So I temporarily quit for about a month and a half while I was downloading quantum healing. The first week of October 2020 for me was spiritual ascension. I was going through a rapid initiation, I guess I would say, because there were 8 levels over the course of about a year. And at the start of that was really interesting. I was told that I was going to be receiving a healing method. I would sell it for $555, and it would include all of my gifts into one. And that ended up being quantum healing, which is a powerful, powerful, powerful subconscious healing method where we go into the root program, the literal energy program that's in your quantum field, and we go and clear it. We heal the root cause of whatever's happening in your life. Now, that ends up being so freaking transformative because we're literally taking out an energy program in your field that's attracting it to you, replacing it with a program that is beneficial. So removing scarcity, implementing abundance. When I implemented passive income into my field, passive income, that was all my business saw. Those remarkable results for quantum healing. And so you can bet as soon as I started selling sessions, 3 years about this date, December 1st, 2020, I was again booked out with quantum healing. I did that for a couple of months, and then I really, really, really wanted to switch up what I was doing again, and I wanted to go more into feminine womb type of stuff, which for whatever reason, I'm very good at it and I'm very intelligent, but my audience wasn't that niche, so it just was not very successful when I tried to do it. I did try to launch an entire course called Soul's Purpose or Soul's Calling, and it flopped, and I was devastated because it was the first course that came directly from my womb and my body. I risked it all on that course, needless to say, because I was 1 month from having to go back and move in with my family, which was very toxic, and I risked it all, and it was not a good risk. I moved back in with my family. The second that I did that, April turned on, 444 portal course was selling, and I started walking every single morning, waking up before my family, because I knew if I woke up after I heard them, then it would just be bad and I would not have a good morning. I'd wake up before them, walk to the beach because they lived on a lake, which is also a portal. Every morning I'd walk there, God would tell me something to create and sell. Started with the Starseed and Lightworker Mission Masterclass. Then I went to a couple other masterclasses. I joined a membership and invested every penny I had into a 6-week leadership training. It was $500. I had $0. I manifested the $500. I invested it. Now, that leadership program, don't think it did anything for me. I invested though in a membership at that time for money, and that really supported me. So it's always reinvesting what you're making is a really key thing. Moving forward, I continued to do these little courses, put my 555 out. I do, a Starseed theme course every 2 weeks. And eventually I implemented some of the other downloads that God was giving me. And mind you, at the time, I would not have said God, I would have said my guides, as a side note, for those who are still there. I got downloads to create the Quantum Activations Bundle, a set of 6 quantum healings, bringing people from the 3rd dimension to 5th dimensional consciousness. I also got downloaded, not during that, but while I was creating that bundle, to create the Quantum Healer Quantum Teacher Training Certification and certify people in how to do quantum healing. Now, while filming those videos, I had maybe 6K. I went through, and this is an important note, briefly I'll share it. The first week of May, I went through an initiation. God said 5 days, 5 complete new creations, make all the landing pages, all the graphics, the entire course, live launch, every single day, 5 days, new product, go. So I did that. And one of them, Starseed Leadership, was amazing. I ended up getting, it was a big program, 2K program, payment plans, and that was perfect. That really kept me going for a couple of months. Now, during that time is when I put out the Quantum Healer, Quantum Teacher training, and I learned quantum activation and put out Quantum Activations bundle. I was doing a lot of inner work at that time. I had my activation that supported me in beginning to receive passive income, and I was doing a shit ton of quantum healing on visibility. I went viral on Instagram with a light language video back in 2021, June. It was actually the solstice, the summer solstice. And that was very good for my business. I went from about 2,000 followers to 6,000, and it just really supported me, I think, in, making sales of Quantum Healer, making sales of quantum activations, and just having a lot more eyes on my social media page. I had a lot of loyalty at that time with Starseeds and everything, and so my engagement was really high. I wish we could go back to 2021 engagement on Instagram for spiritual business owners. And it was just, I was flying high. I was making a ton of money. I had a lot of passive income coming through. Everything I was making at that point then was passive income. I had payment plans. It was amazing. I would have a 10K month. I wouldn't work. I was traveling again. It was so good. And I'm not exactly sure what happened, but at some point that year, I was unable to maintain that. Working with traveling, it became very hard. I was like, well, I want to do stuff during the day. It's hard to work. And I had, and I don't know how much I can share on a YouTube video about it, but there were some specific rules and regulations that were being put in place in my country at the end of Canada. And I was in America and Hawaii at the end of, actually it was on December. Wow, it was 1 year. Literally 1 year. I think it was November 30th or December 1st. Anyway, a lot of stress and anxiety that I wouldn't be able to fly back to my country without doing something specific. And I was so afraid, and I got very bullied, I guess, by some officials to go back, which ended up being really bad for my life, my mental health, my business, etc. I essentially kind of was working, but not successfully for a couple of months. And then I ended up in a weird series of events, having my second awakening. I call it the second coming, when we fully wake up to God and outside of the new age. And I quit my business because I didn't know if what I was teaching was light. I didn't know if it was authentic. I didn't know if it was ethic, because I had just come out of this false light, new age matrix. So I quit my business. One, because of that. Two, I had 2 days off of social media, and I was like, I need to get off of social media or I'm going to go down the wrong path. I took a month off of business, trying to identify what's light, what's not in spirituality. So I knew when I come back, what can I teach? I ended up trying to come back and doing women's coaching, and it was not successful. I was working 16 hours a day, making beautiful websites, graphic designs, posting consistently. My feed was beautiful, but it just wasn't selling. My engagement was low, and my audience wanted me to post about aliens, which I was not comfortable at that time. I wasn't really posting anything spiritual other than, abundance mindset. And so I just wasn't successful. My Lionsgate time came around. I started creating a 2.0 version of that course. That did okay. But it was a really, really, really dry year from January until October, and especially March until October, with nothing. My sales are maybe $500 a month, and if it was $1,000, it was just passive from before. The Akashic Records / God told me to take Akashic Records certification out of my Quantum Healer training. Sell it separately. And that was the thing that blew my business up again. It sold so successfully right away. It did amazing. Enough that, and Selling Business Mastery, my business program that I had just started, it was enough to get me to Europe with $600 in my bank account, no business stability, no plan, just God, and I went. That ended up being a very big test on my journey, and I succeeded, of what felt like fighting for my life to build my business up again and not go back to Canada. And I ended up selling Akashic Records readings again as guided by the records and my Akashic Records certification. Same with my Quantum Healer Trainer certification, same with Business Mastery. This kept me going for many months and it still does. However, it was very, very good. I was stable between 3 and 5K a month, which when traveling, that's not a lot. There's no savings left over because I don't budget travel. I don't stay in hostels and I sure don't take budget airlines. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I just like to protect my frequency. And it was the next year I did so much inner work on money in Bali, where I let go fully of the need for money in many ways, in very dramatic ways, and filmed some incredible organic activations, understood that we don't need money. The second we let go of the need for money, we actually make it, which is really funny because that's actually, in reflection, what happened. I let go of the need for money. I had a moment where I realized, and you have to get to this if you want true organic money. You can build money, but if you're not healing your trauma and karma, you're just going to have to come back and keep doing it. So rather go in, heal all the shit instead of just pile the money on top of it. You can just go up and be a multimillionaire, or you can do all the inner work and then be a multimillionaire and not have to come back to do your money inner work in another life. So I dove deep. I had a moment where I realized, we don't really need anything. If we had absolutely no money, what would you do? Someone's going to give you water. The earth grows food. You can build shelter, etc. I went right back to survival before we had money. Then you start to consider resources. This friend, that friend, that friend. Then I realized I don't need money. When I realized I didn't need money, I made it. I had my highest cash month the next month after I left Bali, hitting $12,000 in the month, which was, again, the biggest month I had ever had. Which was absolutely crazy at that time because I did that because I had a vision to host a sale of everything on my website for $100. Success. Super successful. I didn't even go viral for that to happen. Kept going. I had a little dip in August. I was very challenged to work during that time, but I was still doing Akashic Records readings, Quantum Healer, Quantum Teacher Training, Business Mastery. And then the money just really stabilized. I went viral again. That was really great for my business. And I began to stabilize 10K months at least each month. Then came the 15K month, then came the 20K month, then came the 25K month plus, and then came the 6-figure year. And yeah, that's the reflection because that's where we are. I hit the 6-figure year the day before my business anniversary on the 30th. Now, if I didn't get kind of sticking out of it the last couple of days, I would have hit 30K in the month, but that's okay. Next month. This is because of two things. My business was not stable before I learned about business and taught business mastery. That is what makes your spiritual business successful because I was manifesting clients and sales. That means some months are 8K, some months are $700 when you're not manifesting or you don't have the capacity to do the inner work, the trauma work to get you there. I implemented business strategy, business model, business plan, branding, logistics in conjunction with quantum healing, working with the Akashic Records, doing the healing, doing the inner work, doing breath work, put them together. Then I started to see stability in my business. Added more strategy, did more inner work, growing again. Now I stabilize at the 20K month. Whereas 2 years ago, when I was just making passive income, it was like you never knew. But now I know how much money I'm going to make each month at minimum. And I know how I'm going to do it because I have a business plan and a business model. This is my success story. This is my, revolutionary experience with spiritual business. I know that it's kind of rare to have a spiritual business be that successful. And so I feel very, very, very grateful to be where I am today because I didn't think that this life is possible. And now I just travel full time all the time and it's life-changing. Now, if you are feeling this energy, if you're like, wow, this was amazing. I want to do this as well. Just know that it's possible for you. I didn't have necessarily the belief at the start that this was going to be what it is. I mean, I think that I did think that it could be like this, but I didn't fully know. And now it's here. Now it's my life. And I just feel so grateful to be living this and to be able to support you and offer you, the programs that did it for me. Business Mastery, Quantum Healer, Quantum Teacher Training, Quantum Activations Bundle, and the Akashic Records certification, which is live now, which is a really amazing add-on, which is very successful. People love live things. If you want to get in on any of these courses, they're going to be in the description box. I am offering these to you because I want you to be successful, especially if you're spiritual and you know your purpose, or you feel like you are going to find your purpose, or you're purpose driven. You want to know what it is. I just want you to be able to not have limitations in your life so you can go be free and live your purpose and mission. I want you to be able to, be on the grid, go to Sedona, go to Shasta, go to, all the portals in the world and do your work. I want you to be able to evolve humanity without having to go to your 9-to-5. I want you to serve your soul's gifts, make income from it, be successful, and serve planet Earth. That's the goal. That's the mission. We are here for the deeper spiritual purpose. It's not just a business that I run. It's a mission. It is a soul-based sanctuary for spiritual healers. It's also a place where it's safe to make money as a spiritual business owner. This is going to be a different video where I'll talk about it, but there's so many blocks around making money as a spiritual business owner, or making money in general, where people think, and I get these comments all the time, you must not be spiritual. Like you're charging money for your services, or like, wow, like you're like selling to gullible people. And it's like, no, I'm serving heart-centered, soul-based products and services to people that need them, that would benefit from them. It's a lot better than the people that are actually selling things that are maybe harmful for people or using deceptive marketing. Everything that I'm serving is here for a purpose. It's not even mine. I didn't come up with anything that I sell. It's all from God. This whole business is God's business. It's not mine. I'm just the vessel that sits down at my computer and creates it and publishes it. But it's God's word. It's God's courses. It's God's certifications. It's not mine. I physically made them as the vessel for them. They're not mine. I didn't come up with Business Mastery. Lightning struck and it got downloaded into me. I was sitting at my computer on a business coaching call. Quantum Healer certification came through. I was walking in a portal near a lake. Quantum Activations Bundle. These things, Akashic Records certification. I received Akashic Records, and then God was like, certification. Take it out of the Quantum Healer training. I don't know how that naturally came to me. But needless to say, it's God's business. I'm just a vessel. But these are the successes that I've had in the last 4 years. And I really want to neutralize talking about our successes and talking about and taking ownership and accountability for how successful we are, instead of keeping it and hiding out of fear of people being jealous or sending hate comments or doing anything mean. Because the more people, the more versions of me that come on here and tell you what's possible, the more likely you're going to go pick up your computer and pick up your phone and start your business. I started my business and invested in my business with $80 in my bank account. I spent half of it to get a teachable website. I created a course and sold it for $12. I made $6 profit. Choose something you're passionate about. That's your why. I talk about the why in Business Mastery. I literally just give you guys one lesson in your first module. Why? Because you have to have a strong why to have a successful business. It's at the heart of your business. You have to sell from the why. Not the what are you selling, not the how, the why. That is so critical and so important. So that is my reflection on 4-year business. You can find all of my programs in the description box here. You'll see everything to do with Business Mastery, which I highly, highly, highly recommend. It's what you need as a spiritual business owner. I'll find a lot of people will pair it with Quantum Healer or Akashic Live, or pair them all three together. There are bundled prices. I also offer one-on-one, high-quality, high-touch business mentorship, quantum healing mentorship, and Akashic Records mentorship. You can find them all below in the description box. That will be able to support you on your journey. So I'm sending you so much love, and I cannot wait to work with you or see you in my next YouTube video. Make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like, make sure you comment, let me know what you received from this video. And also I'll put my Instagram in the description box below if you happen to find me from here, which is so cool because most of the people when I post this video are going to find me from Instagram, but I'm just so excited. And I think by the time that most people see this, I will have a membership. So I'll say that because in the future, if you're seeing this in the future, I also have a membership. So I'm sending you all so much love, and thank you so much for spending this time to watch this video. Bye.